So we're gonna start getting ready to take the rack and pinion out of here. 2009 Toyota Tacoma TRD. Turd model. So we get the Toyota Tacoma turd. We're gonna be doing the outer tie rod ends along with, you know, the new rack comes with the inners. So we don't have to worry about that, but we're definitely gonna be replacing the outers. So we're gonna take the whole thing out as one assembly is the hope. Fingers crossed. So to do that, we've got the cotter pins. We'll remove this guy. Real simple. We already bent this one straight back over. Just grab this lightly with your pliers, pry against that, and that'll pull your little cotter key out. She's happy. Here, I'll show you on the other side how simple this is. Look. Now this side's gonna be more difficult because I told you how simple it is. And somebody's done it wrong. You don't need to bend both sides of these over. Okay? You really don't. They're just meant to keep them in place. But you need to straighten the one side. And sometimes you can get them all the way straight, sometimes not. Yeah, somebody used like freaking kryptonite for this one. And then a little push it through, that little guy's gonna stick out. And you should be able to just pry it out. Just carefully, it should bend it back. You might have to move the pliers a few times back and forth, making it really difficult for Drew to do his job. But you guys don't have to worry about Drew doing his job, just I do. And walk that out. They're usually made out of pretty weak metal. They don't do anything but keep the castle nut from spinning, so. And when you're done with that, just eat it. I mean, they taste good, less filling. We're gonna be replacing those so you can toss them in the trash. We'll pull that nut and pull the nut on the other side. But first, before we do any of that, I wanna drop this back down. I wanna make sure my steering wheel is straight. And I'll put a ratchet strap from the steering wheel down to the brake pedal or something, or to the seat, to hold that straight, because we're going to be disconnecting steering and I don't want that wheel spinning on me. One, for the clock spring, so we don't have airbags popping off in our face or something random happening. And number two, so when we install the new one, we're hopefully pretty centered and alignment will be able to just dial her in a little bit. We don't want to be 180 degrees out. Otherwise, customer's not happy and neither is the truck. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. Smells like vanilla in here. Ha! All right. You can go on to just about anything you can find down there. You don't need a ton of tension. You're just holding the steering wheel from spinning. So we got it pretty straight. Good enough for government work. And I just went to the little lifty doodabber handle on the bottom of the seaty thing, and you know, the thing that makes you go forward for short leg and long leg people, and just a little couple of, just to hold the steering wheel. That's all you need. She's good now. Shouldn't move. I ain't going nowhere. Ding. All right, now that we got our steering wheel strapped down and our wheels straight-ish, sort of. Grab a 19mm socket, your impact gun, and hope and pray. If you live in a Rust Belt area or something like that, like, lubricate this crap. I don't have to worry about that. Here, watch. And there you go. It just pops right off. Rust Belt areas, you might need the hot wrench. I don't know. You might need other things. You know, like a new house in a different location that keeps you from things like that. And then you just Hulk smash this thing and pull, and that's not how you get that down. I put the castle nut on, leave it on there just a thread or two, and we're gonna come here and we're gonna just whack the piss out of that, hopefully without hitting the backing plate. We're gonna whack the piss out of that, and that should drop our tie rod right out of there. I'm also going to pull one of the power steering lines, bring my handy dandy little cart over here that'll, you know, catch all the juice, and let that drip while I go clean myself up and get the new parts. So maybe we can get it back together at some sort of time. We're losing sunlight though. The old light in the sky is going down. So what are you gonna do? Okay. There we go. There's one. Almost got it. Sounded like I hit it, but it didn't. I hit that and it kind of rolled and touched it. It's okay. It's fine. There we go. I probably could have done that earlier. I probably, like, third whack was probably loose and I could have just, but that's what happens. Yes, they make a pickle fork for that. a fork that goes in between here, and then you tap that and you say, fork you, you're coming apart anyways. You don't need that. You can just hit here with a good enough wackadoodle. And that's why I get the bigger one, because it has more force with all this extra chunk of steels. It's like a mini Thor. And that'll get them loose most of the time. Again, you guys in the Rust Belt might need some heat on that. But if you whack here, man, science stuff happens and that comes out. Science. Okay. Now we got our tie rods all nice and loosey. See? They're loose. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them at all. They're not supposed to do that. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull some lines. We have our supply line here. So I'm gonna see if we can just unscrew that little clamp of noodles and see if we can get that off. Maybe unbolt that guy and just let it all drip where I just cleaned. And then we got a couple bolts. We got one right here. And one on the other side adjacent to this one right there. And then with a hope and a prayer, this will all come out. We may have to remove this bracket right here that just holds the line in place. There's a little bolt right behind it that we may want to just move just to, you know, make things happier. But we're going to go ahead and pull those two. And if I can, we may have this rack out on the ground. I think, yeah, that bolt goes all the way through right here too. Look at that. How funny. I kind of figured there had to be a nut on the bottom of it. And there is, right there. And somewhere over here. I lost it. Right there. So, if it won't come out, we'll just, you know, cut the frame. And then we'll get the new one in with the cut frame, and you know, once it gets to the end of my driveway, the warranty's over anyways, so it doesn't matter. That's not the right way to do it, guys. It's not. Do it right, or don't do it at all. Jeez. Oh, look at all that nice, wrong colored fluid. See how that's like brown? It's not red. That should be red, not brown. It's got a little bit of red to it, which means there's still some of the original fluid in there, guys. But not enough. I pressure washed the piss out of you, and you are still filthy. Got my hands dirty. All right, anyhow, that's enough of that crap. All right, we got those two lines to remove, those two bolts to remove, and then we also have to remove the steering knuckle, which we'll do up here and here somewhere, somehow, some way. That guy's up in here. We'll get these things off. I'm gonna pull that little nipple off. We're gonna pull that line loose right there. I'll let you guys know what size wrench on there. I don't know, I'm guessing a something millimeter. Ought to get it. And yeah, we'll go from there. I really need a tool cart with more tools in it, because the box is all the way in there. But if I had a cart right here, do I have tools in this cart? I found more screwdrivers, Drew. Realize I have all this in here. Well, I'll be a son of a gun. This is really cool. Anybody want my dad's social security number? He was doing some mechanicing work, and they're Mac. They're old school. And you know they're old school because, well, it's a 1-inch, not a metrics. And you would etch your name on them, and then you would etch your social security number on them back then, because that's how they would identify, and you would know for a fact that they're yours. Nowadays, you wouldn't dare do that. You'd put maybe your phone number on it. And even that's sketchy because people mess with your phone number. But it's funny to get my dad's old tools out, and you know, I got some of his wrenches and stuff from way back in the day, you know, back in the 1910s. Not really that late, but you know, when you didn't have the interwebs and all the other stuff for people to steal your socials. That wasn't a thing back then. So it's kind of funny to see that. I really get a kick out of it every time. And you know, nice thing is that if I ever need a social, I got it. It's on his wrench. Right? Yeah, it's on one of those things, the pieces of metal that help undo things. That's where it's at. So if you want it, you know where to find it. The one thing I do like about Toyota is like you only need a handful of wrenches to really work on a Toyota. So we're gonna pull off the pressure line. It's a 17 metric meters wrench. Should be able to get to it from the front. You're probably gonna get about a quarter of a turn. You gotta rotate your wrench. And then, so we got a quarter this way, and then we'll have to rotate it and we can get a full bite again. But just be patient with it. You know, yes, everything's in the way. That's what engineers do. I think that's their job. So if you're an engineer, knock it off. But if not, then you get to join the club and hate engineers and the way they do this kind of stuff. So we're gonna get this one pulled loose. That'll give us access to the next one. And then we've just got the steering column, drive shafts, column, steering thingamajigger, and 2 more bolts. And then we see if this thing actually wants to come out of here. So we're gonna do that. But probably once I get this one loose, I'm gonna go get the new part. So I have it laying here. And then I wanna make sure it's all centered up before I put the new one in. Because, you know, why make more work for the alignment guy? We don't want him to have to take all this apart and reset everything. And I don't have an alignment rack here. We can get it close because it's just toe that we're doing. But you're better off putting it on a rack and making sure the lasers see it all pretty, you know? 5 hours later. We'll find it. Oh, about to drop the wrench. Losing feeling in my fingers. And yes, we will flush the system. For those of you saying, you should really flush the system. I'm aware. We got it. I won't show that because that's boring. But we'll get it. Oh, dang it. That wrench is staying there forever now. Forever. Toyota just earned a wrench. All right, that one's out. We technically don't have to take the other one out. We're going to see if it'll come out easily. It may not. I don't know. Probably not. But probably so. I think this other line is just going to be right in the way of where we need to get this thing. This is a knuckle buster. Dang it. This is why you go to the gym, isn't it, Drew?
Yes.
Dang it. We need to work up some, like, thumb strength exercises. Well, I just don't know why you won't come out of there. I'm just going to pull that when it's out. We're going to see if we can leave that on there and get it out of here. It's really not necessary to get it out right now. I just want to get all the juices out of this thing as much as possible so when I pull it, it doesn't leak all over me. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, that mounts to the rack itself, so we're going to have to pull that bolt up there. Perfect. Just mount everything to everything, you know? Should be a 12. And it is. And it's a lot easier to get this kind of stuff when the rack is still mounted in here because it definitely acts as like a, you know, a vise for you. Holds things in place. And this holds the lines right there too. The rack and pinion. The rack and a pinion. Its opinion is that it's done. It doesn't want to rack and pinion anymore. It just wants to rack. It doesn't. It's done pinioning. There you go. A little 12 millimeter for you. Steering column, 2 bolts, and she's out. That's all you got left. I'm gonna go get the new part. I'll show you guys when we're pulling this out. Hopefully. Am I spinning that bolt? Yep, the whole thing's spinning. Awesome! All right. Well, I lied. I was gonna go get the new parts, but I'm not. I'm gonna get this one out. So I went ahead and successfully got the little titty off. And then we pulled the bolt for the steering column, for the steering shaft that comes in. That is a 12 millimeter bolt that comes through at an awkward angle when it's positioned straight. I had to get that from the back side with a long, flexible wrench. If you don't have those tools, then you're gonna have some fun trying to figure that out. Right now, I'm just throwing a boat to see. 12 millimeter on the steering column shaft, and then 17 mil down here, and I believe that upper, we'll check it right now. I mean, Toyota, like I said, yeah, that upper's a 17. So you can hold it with a 17 on top, hammer it from the bottom or vice versa. We'll see. So I'm gonna play around with that. See what we come up with. See if we can't get this thing to come loose. So, but just remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's the key to remember. And then look down here and let's see if we're spinning the bolt or the nut or whatever you call these things. Oh, that's actually staying. Is that welded? That'd be weird if that was a welded nut, wouldn't it? Oh, it's not welded. But the good news is it's loose. So hopefully, get him. You're gonna do that on this side. You're gonna do that on this side. And then that should get your rack loose and you should be able to pull her out. It's a new day. Unfortunately, we're still in that time of the year right now where we are losing light early, and I don't have a shop yet with light in it so that I can be working all night like I'd like to, because I'm a night owl. I like to work at night. But that doesn't matter to you, because what matters to you is how to get this crap done, right? Because surely you've gotten to this point and you said, oh, the rack will fall right out. Joke's on you, buddy. I really thought we just had a couple bolts left. I've not actually done these TRD 4x4 rack and pinions before, but once you've done one rack set, you've done them all. So I thought a couple things that came up that are fun and enjoyable that you should know. Number one, the mounting bolt that goes right up in here for your rack and pinion. Nope, goes right over here. Sorry, goes back here. Well, it's about 10 miles long and it hits the AC compressor. So you have to unbolt the AC compressor. Well, in order to get to the rear bolt of the AC compressor, you have to unbolt a bracket up on the alternator so you can move wiring out of your way, and you can somehow, with a series of wobblies and 12 feet of extensions, get into that 12 millimeter bolt. There's 4 12 millimeters that hold your AC compressor in place. You don't have to bleed everything out and take all the everything. You can just really move it. It is a pain in the ass. If you want to remove it completely because your air conditioning is already not working or whatever, remove it. I don't recommend that. If you can avoid it, avoid it. Just lift it up out of the way. You're gonna have to weeble wobble and make things happen because it is. Thank you, engineers. So that's just to get the bolt, the mounting bolt for the rack out. This passenger side comes right out. The driver's side does not. It hits everything on the way. So we had to manipulate that one out. Secondarily, you have to remove a bolt that goes into the, we already talked about the one in the rack. There's one that goes right here into the subframe. You have to remove that one as well so that you can get your lines to come completely out of the way. They will move, they'll dangle, they'll hang, they'll do what they do. Then we had to also remove the sway bar. I didn't want to pull the whole sway bar, so I just removed the brackets that hold it up in there for the bushings so we can pull it up out of the way. And we had to remove this axle mounting, whatever, wishbone, dog bone bolt, because as you can see on the other side, right here, that bolt goes all the way through with a giant freaking nut. And what I'm getting at basically is once you get all of that stuff removed, you have to take the whole rack and pinion assembly, rotate it, shift it all the way out the passenger side somewhere over here, and then we will wobble it out the front here. Yeah. They decided to put the mount for the rack and all the steering gear and everything in such a place that it will not fit through here where it should fit through. If they would have just made it fit through here, then we could have just ping right out. That's not what happens. You got to go all the way to the passenger side, because if you look on the drinker side, passenger side, you have all of this space. You don't have all this crap in the way. So this will actually go all the way out that hole, and then you got to work it back out. It does help if you remove your tie rod ends. That will help you a ton, removing the tie rod ends before you pull it out. One of the things I'd recommend is count your turns when you're pulling it out, and also measure your threads. We know we have a 1/2 inch of thread on both sides. I also know the overall length from my mounting holes, my mounting points to the end of the tie rod. I've got that overall length for both sides. So we should be able to set up this rack in the exact same way that this one came out, which will hopefully get our steering wheel somewhat straightish. Did I miss anything, Drew? We already flushed the system. Leave me alone. Yeah, we already did that, okay? It's done. So, system has been flushed. Everything is supposedly happy. Now we just got to swap all this over and then take our core back and return that. But we're going to stab this rack back in there before we put the tie rod ends on, because it does shorten that quite significantly. I mean, you can see how long that tie rod is. This one rotated on 15 turns, but you can see the length of that. If you can eliminate that length on both sides, it should help us get this in a lot easier. The pain in the butt about this whole thing is the rotation that you got to get it up in there. And this car, I think, must be out of somewhere that had some rust, because the steering knuckle did not want to come off easily either. So have fun with that. There are 4 bolts. So you're going to get the 3 that you can see on the AC compressor, and there is one hidden back behind all the wiring in the bracket that goes to the alternator. But if you look up through the wheel well, you'll see a 10mm bolt that bolts to the side of the alternator that holds a metal bracket on, that houses all those wires, and then you can kind of move them out of the way. And then a wobbly or whatever you want to get in there with, good luck. It's fun. You know, I was just like saying, I actually don't mind engineers, and now I'm back to hating them again, because they have made this damn near impossible. It's probably one of the worst ones I've had to do. I called my cousin Matt, and he's been a master tech for years and years and years. And he's like, oh yeah, you mean the one you got to shift off to the side? And I'm like, yeah, but this is the TRD off-road 4x4, all the bells and whistles, so they put everything in the way, and you don't just shift it off to the side and bring it out. Everything has to come out. So enough talking. I've got weather coming in. I don't have a shop still, so we're going to try and rip and bang on this and see what we can get accomplished, and hopefully get this buttoned up today. I'm waiting on a new scanner that we want to show you guys too. My cousin Matt was telling me about a scanner that he got, and again, he's been a master tech for 40 years or whatever. He's not even using his expensive one anymore, so we ordered this other one, and once I get it in, it should allow me to do a automatic bleed on this, and hopefully maybe fix some of the brake pedal, which this originally came in for, not all this mess. And we'll let you guys know. We're going to do a review on that here coming up pretty soon, and let you guys know where you can get the scanner. It's inexpensive, it's amazing from what he's telling me, and if he's telling me that, then you know it's good. So I think I covered everything of what you guys need to get apart. Yeah. So yeah, remember that serpentine belt we put on? Yeah, we had to pull it back off because the air compressor, AC compressor, and all that stuff. But that's okay. That's why they put a pin in there, because they know you're going to have to take it on and off. And anyways, enough of that. So we'll get this together, show you guys what it looks like, and you know, cross our fingers. We got everything in, as far as we know. You know, it's always scary when things go together way easier than they came apart, but it also makes sense. And the way we put this together and all that kind of stuff. So now we just got to bleed the rack system, get all the fluids into there. I kind of overfilled it a little bit on purpose because it's going to bring some of that fluid in. And all we got to do is just get up in there, turn the wheel lock to lock, and it'll start pulling fluid through. Eventually we'll fire up the vehicle, and then we'll do that again. But before you fire it up, just run it lock to lock a bunch of times. All the way to the left, all the way to the right, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And repeat, and repeat, and repeat. That'll start pushing some of the air out, because the last thing you want is cavitating pump, which means air in the system is getting trapped in a spot. These don't get that as bad just because of the way that they're set up, but it can happen and it's not pretty. So do it before you start it. Rotate that rack and pinion back and forth, and then we'll fire it up and see what she does. So all fingers crossed. Hopefully we don't have any leaks. No mo. No mo leak, no mo. No mo leak, no mo. We'll see. But we got the belt back on. I put everything back on other than the skid plates, because if we have a leak, I want to be able to see it. I want to be able to look up in there, and I don't want to have to pull skid plates again. You know how it is if you've worked on cars for any period of time. Those skid plates, the bolts go all the way through, and then they get the mud and the dirt and the rust and all that crap on there. So sometimes they don't like to go in and out and in and out. They just, seems like they have a life cycle to them. I don't like that. Then we got to make a self-tapper and jam it in there. Anyways, I'm going to jump in there, or maybe I'll have Drew do that. I like that idea better. And then I can watch nothing happening. So I'm going to have Drew jump in there. He's going to bring that strap off of the wheel, off the steering wheel, because remember, we strapped it in so that it'd be straight. We measured everything here. It looks like it's centered. The rack is supposed to come centered. The last one we got was not centered. Oh, not at least a bit. No. So this one should be. I'm gonna let Drew get in there, rack, lock to lock, and see what she does. So Drew, you're up, dude. You're in the truck, and you're turning the steering wheel. We'll bring you guys back and let you know the results. If we did it right, I don't know. All right, guys. So this 2009.
Yes.
I don't ever know what I'm working on. This 2009 Toyota Tacoma is Dunskies. It was a bigger project than I thought. I mean, it's not like it was just more pieces had to come off. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, when you get into a project and you're like, oh, all I gotta do is remove these 3 bolts and the whole thing comes out. Then it's like, nope, you gotta remove these other 10. That's what this was. Kind of like doing that rear axle on the Jeep last time. You know, oh crap, we gotta do the seals and all the other stuff too. You know, it's like, sometimes things just happen that way. That's okay. That's what you're here for. That's why you got a wrench in your hand, right? Doing this on your back, it would probably suck. I'm going to tell you. It's not going to be the funnest job on your back. It's been handy to have the lift to be able to bring it up and down and kind of move it around to what position. Now, I'm also old and I have a bad back. So it's nice to bring the car to you instead of you going to the car. But for some of you younger whippersnappers, it's probably going to be easier. All that being said, I will tell you there's a couple of key points on this. Number 1, use an impact gun where you can. Number 2, lube. Penetration lube. Spray it, especially if you're in a rust belt. Number 3, before you put bolts back in and everything back together, do yourself a favor and clean all the bolts. We spent a chunk of time over on the old death wheel and spinning those wires all over me and getting my fat gut all covered in dirt and grease and everything, because we cleaned every single bolt before it went back in. I even like to clean the head of the bolts. I just find it helps the socket to go on and come off easier, so that when you're putting the socket on there, it's not staying in there, and the Toyota's not earning a little extra weight, a couple ounces, you know, with your socket staying in there. So clean the head of the bolt, clean the threads real good. If you can get on a wire wheel and just brush them, get them all clean. If you don't have that, then take a brush, something, clean your threads. I can't tell you, and I can't stress that enough, clean your threads. Especially on some of these that go through like the body panels, like a skid plate, because they stick up above and they get mud and grime and stuff on them and rust, and get all that crap off there before you put it back together. It'll save you from crossing some threads and some problems down the road. I will tell you this also, when you're doing the outer tie rod ends, if you don't already know, just crack the jam nut and then count your turns. I think we showed you that. And then measure stuff at the same time. Go from the outside of the tie rod to a point that doesn't change on that. Mark down that number, so when the new one goes together, you can mark that. You can make sure you measure that again It helps you to double check your work. This will need to go for an alignment, but I can tell you, I just went on a test drive and it is straight and true. It feels really good, but I still always recommend alignment because that toe might be just a little bit off and that can cause premature tire wear, so you don't want that either. So when you're done, even though it seems to be driving straight, just go get an alignment done. Spend the extra couple bucks. It's going to save you a ton of money on the tires. All that being said, I think we walked you through the bleeding procedure, right? Yeah, we did. We talked about going lock to lock.
Yeah.
So fill up the reservoir before you start the vehicle. Go lock to lock a bunch of times. I think, Drew, you probably did it 20 times. Started off going all the way over, bump, 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 go all the way back to the other side, bump, bump, bump. And then by the time we did that about 10 times, start just working it back and forth. The first time you turn that key on, have your hands outside of the steering wheel. Do not put them in front, just in case something funky happened to the clock spring and that airbag wants to go off. You don't want it punching yourself in the face. You just messed with dynamics of stuff, okay? Once you've done all that, top off the reservoir, start the car, go lock to lock. You'll hear some power steering noises. You'll see bubbles coming out. It's doing its thing. It'll suck some more of that down through the pump. That's what you want to do, especially after you flushed it, because there's all that air in there and you want to get that out. So there's all your tips. There's all your pointers. I think that's all we got. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Please make sure you're subscribed down below. Make sure you give me the thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment. I mean, tell me what I did wrong. I'm fine with that. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings, you know what I mean? And heck, if I did something wrong, man, I'd like to see your YouTube channel and show me how to do it. That'd be awesome, because I can learn from you, and I love that. We have some really cool stuff coming up. We also did just pick up a new tool, and we're gonna show that to you guys in an upcoming video, and what that looks like, how that works, all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna go through that process right now on this very vehicle and show you some of the cool things that this tool can do. We literally just got it today, so bear with us. We don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna push buttons until it does something, and we're gonna show you what that pushing of buttons looks like. All right, love you guys, appreciate you guys. We'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out. Tacoma roller. Can you fly somewhere else? Thank you. Would you look at that? I haven't opened this in a long time. I have a bunch of like empty freedom seeds. Isn't that great? Hello, freedom seeds. I wonder if I plant those, if they'd grow like freedom flowers. That'd be kind of cool. Get it! Come and get it. Freaking little mats. Oh yeah, you see me come out here with this, you run away. Yeah, that's right. Come and get it. It's all about the he said, she said. It's all you, dude.